Minister, a year ago, your government forecast for this 2015-16 year a $6.4 billion surplus. Today, you came in with a new forecast of $1.4 billion. Now, I understand forecasting is a tricky business, but why should Canadians believe this number now?
Well, we base our forecast on the numbers we get from 15 private sector economists. We take the average, and that's what we use for our budget.
No, I assume that's what you did last year. It didn't work out.
Indeed.
Things have changed quite a bit in this past year. But
sure.
Why are you any more confident this year about this next forecast? Because this is close to the line in terms of a budget surplus.
Well, we are comfortable because it's roughly what the Bank of Canada is forecasting, what the OECD and the International Monetary Fund are forecasting, and what a variety of other private sector forecasts are saying will happen for the Canadian economy. We've had a weak first quarter, but it's going to rebound, and we're going to benefit from a strong U.S. economy and our diversified economy here in Canada.
Now, you touched a lot of bases in the budget today, but one base you didn't apparently touch was climate change. The words don't appear in the budget. Any particular reason for that?
No, we have a number of measures that we're taking in the budget dealing with the environment. But one of the matters which people haven't perhaps focused on fully is our transit initiative. More than 60% of greenhouse gas emissions come from the transport sector rather than the extraction of the oil and gas. So this initiative, which will be $1 billion every year and will address traffic gridlock in our major urban centers, will help us achieve our reduction in greenhouse gas emissions.
One of the suggestions I've heard about climate change on the part of your government is that you are in negotiations with the Americans on a continental plan, and until such time as that is agreed to, you can't really come out in terms of any particular plan right now. Would that be a fair assessment?
Well, the Prime Minister has said that we're not going to take action which would severely disadvantage Canadian industry and not really achieve anything on a global basis. So we're willing to work with the Americans, as we are in a whole host of issues.
I appreciate that, and I understand he said that in the past, but is something happening right now? Are those talks underway as we speak?
Well, I can't comment on that. That's not my portfolio responsibility.
Okay, one last thought.
Sure.
Part of the figures that you come up with today are based on the fact that you were able to sell those GM shares a few weeks ago. I noticed with interest that if you'd waited till today, it would have been $100 million more if you'd sold those GM shares today than a couple of weeks ago. Now, you never know what you're going to get when you make the decision to sell, but that's interesting, no?
Well, the first point is we always said that we would sell those shares. They weren't a core holding for the government. We saved 50,000 jobs in the auto sector. We were the last government to sell, and we got more money than the previous governments. But at a certain point, you got to pull the plug, and we sold a very significant number of shares, about 74 million, at a time when our experts told us the market was ready for that bulk sale.
And pulling the plug at that time allowed you to be able to say today that you'll have a balanced budget.
Well, no, that is only one matter. I mean, we've got revenues totaling $291 billion. There are a whole host of measures which make a difference. That would not have achieved a balanced budget for us on its own.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Minister, thank you very much for your time.
Most welcome.
Joe Oliver, the Minister of Finance.